Welcome once again to the Sage. What a journey. A journey of pure pleasure. As usual, I'm Dr. Kechi Obuago, your guide on this show. And in this particular show, I made immense discoveries. But we'll come to that. First of all, what is for us the focus, the issue for this episode? It is our world, a recognition of our world as a world of inequality. An acceptance of the fact that approximately half of the world still struggle to be equal to the other half. I mean the women, the issues of gender inequality. Within gender inequality is the issue of professions, means of making livelihoods, ways of earning a living, in which some particular areas remain dominated by men. And we often find that it takes women of rare courage to venture, to muster up the courage, the determination, the intelligence, the hard work that is necessary to enter and indeed to survive in a male-dominated profession. And yet, it's important that they do, because for our world to be truly balanced, for we to maximally impact our world, all of us have wonderful things, attributes to bring into it. And so for many of these male-dominated professions, it's important that the women be active partners in that area of business. I discovered two wonderful treasures today in the area of engineering. Yeah, I say that again, engineering. Two incredible women engineers. And because they were such gems, each one of them, I couldn't make up my mind who to ask to come talk to you. So I brought both of them. Stay with me. You'll meet these two wonderful ladies in the next segment. Welcome once again to the Sage. And thank you for having stayed with us. You're going to enjoy this. This for me has been a very, very successful exploration where I discovered so many treasures. I was spoiled for choice. I didn't know what to do. You know, when you suddenly find a lot of gems, I decided to keep all of them. And so I have for you a wonderful show. We had talked about the fact that we're going to look at the male-dominated profession of engineering. And we're going to talk to some Amazons, women of timber and caliber, as they say colloquially, who have indeed made it in that amazing profession. And as I researched, as your guide, I found two wonderful specimens. And I said, why deprive you of the pleasure? So I brought both of them. So on the stage with me today, I have two amazing ladies, two amazing women engineers who have done it all. Listen to their story, you're going to be amazed yourself. But let me introduce them. Let me start by doing that. Let me start with the lady on the extreme left, with Valerie Agberagba, who is the head of Renewable Energy in the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, located here in Abuja. But she's come to talk to you, not about that, but about her amazing, amazing career as a professional engineer. Valerie, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
And next to her, an equally formidable lady. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce Funmilola Ojelade. I have to practice that name, so that I get it perfect. I hope it was pitch perfect. An engineer, who is the now let me get your title right, Manager of Industrial Waste in a Currency Production Unit at the Nigeria Security Printing and Mint PLC. You know, I don't know whether some of you viewers know what printing, minting mean. That is something close up about money. And so this is a powerful lady to know. Funmilola, you're so welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
When I read their resumes as engineers, as women engineers, it was truly formidable. So I'm going to leave them to tell their story. That's what the show is all about. They've kindly consented to share, to help you understand their journey. It's never an easy journey, but they have made it. And so when we have the privilege of meeting people who have made it, we can only be wise and do what is wise and learn from you. So thank you once again for being here. And so ladies, let me start by saying, please tell us a little about yourself. Let's start with, who are you, you know? Let me start with Valerie, and I will interchange it as, if you give me a good smile, I go to the person who gives me the best smile. So Valerie, let's start with you. What was it like? What was your early life like? Yeah.
Thank you once again for inviting me to this show. I've watched a few and I thought, oh, this is a very good show to be able to be a part of. My name is Valerie Agberagba, as she said, the fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I graduated from engineering school about 31 years ago, and I've been practicing engineering since then. Presently, I'm the General Manager, Renewable Energy of Niger Delta Power Holding. But just like she said, we are not here talking about renewable energy. That's an interesting thing to talk about when you see women in engineering and renewable. But I'm here to talk about my career path as an engineer. It wasn't smooth sailing. I never really wanted to read engineering. Most times, if you go to schools, you ask some students, what do you want to be? You hear, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pharmacist. I was one of those that wanted to be a doctor. And for 3 consecutive years, I did what they call JAMB, wanting to read medicine, but it just never was.
You wanted to be a doctor like us, eh?
I actually wanted to be a doctor. And like people will say, my mother will always want to. It would be good for her to have a daughter to say, yeah, I'm the mother of a doctor. And she was always happy when I said I wanted to read medicine. She encouraged me. But like I said, it was never to be. I found myself being admitted after 3 tries to read engineering. And so that set a new career path for me.
I think the Lord had chosen a career path for you.
Yeah. I mean, I would tell you that it was actually God's chosen, because I got to realize that, I mean, I can't stand blood, like I said.
Oh dear, for somebody who wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah, I wanted to be a doctor. And one of the things that it's so irritating to me that is I can't stand smell. I have a very sensitive smell sense. And so I asked myself later, how did you want to read medicine? I mean, you can't stand blood, you can't stand smell. Then what were you doing? Were you looking for you wanted to be a medical doctor? So like you said, it was God choosing my path for me. And it's been interesting this past 3 decades of being an engineer, and I could talk a lot about it.
Hold on, you will talk about because that's why we're so privileged that you're here. But before you go on to that, let me turn to Funmilola and say, what about you? How did you come to be an engineer?
Okay, I grew up in a family of 6 children. I'm following a boy, and he's my mentor and life coach. He's a civil engineer.
Aren't you lucky? He dragged his younger sister everywhere, I'm sure.
Everywhere he goes. So he's a civil engineer, and he had a great impact in me choosing to study engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was how but of course, initially growing up, by the time I was in secondary school, my math was poor for my first 2 years. So at that time, I wasn't thinking of what I would become. Maybe I think at the time I wanted to become a nurse because there was a neighbor nurse we had who dressed very nicely.
I was going to say, I bet you liked her uniform.
I liked her uniform. And I would make paper and put it on my head so that I could be a nurse. But of course, as time went on, my biology was bad and all that, so it's not something I could go near. But it was actually in my Form 3 in secondary school. We had Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 then, that I picked up in mathematics because we had a change of teacher.
Okay.
So now when I begin to talk to young ones about studying engineering, I tell them that the teacher who teaches you at the beginning has a lot of role to play. If I didn't have that change of teacher in Form 3, I wouldn't become an engineer today because mathematics is the strength of the engineer. And so it was that Form 3 that I got it. My first 2 years I flunked it because the teacher could not understand what she was saying. It was not a Nigerian, it's a Philippine. And I just couldn't understand what she was saying. So
and of course, you
I couldn't
follow the subject itself, yeah.
So when we had a teacher who was Nigerian and spoke the way my mother spoke, I could understand what she was saying. I could follow, and it turned out to be my best subject. So that was how I got into engineering and studied.
That's very interesting. It's amazing the way our different circumstances lead us up a chosen career path. What about your family background? What were the parents? Any influence on that? Apart from the choice of subjects and helping you, who was it that was telling me she had a teacher parent?
My mom was a school headmistress. She retired as a school headmistress.
My mother too.
And
You too?
yeah,
Wow.
And she actually wanted the best.
Yours was a school headmistress too?
Yes, she was.
Wow. This, I think we should all aspire to mothers with that school headmistresses.
Really. So she really wanted, right from the beginning, you must go to a good secondary school, have good foundation, and then get to a good university. So I went to St. Maria Goretti Girls Grammar School in Benin. I'm always very proud to say I'm from there. He gave me a good foundation.
It's not as good as Holy Child, though.
No, you can't compare. You can't compare, thank you. But it gave me a good foundation. And just like she said, I wasn't good in mathematics. I wasn't that good, let me put it. So those who were ready to take engineering took what they called further maths. Because I never wanted additional maths, Yeah, in my school, I think it was called further maths.
Yeah, it used to be further maths, then it became additional maths, I think, yeah.
It was further maths, but I didn't take further maths. All those who wanted to read engineering, who knew where they were going, took it. So I wasn't built for it. But because of the foundation I had in the secondary school, I guess when my career path changed, I could easily fit in. Even though at the time I struggled with a few subjects in the university. But then it was good sailing. I had a good foundation. My mother really wanted a good education, but like I said, should have loved to be the mother of a doctor. Because when I got the admission to read engineering, it actually read mining engineering.
Okay.
And then she asked, what is mining engineering all about? And they told her, mining coal, mining this, gold and all. And at that time, there were lots of collapse of Black people in South Africa. Reports
Okay. And that was what...
Yeah, and then she got to know about that, and it's like, no, you can't do that. So what how could you read the course that people are dying? But she allowed me, like I said, I'm going to school, let me take the admission. I will change after 1 year to biochemistry and then finally navigate my way back to medicine. So she allowed me to go, but I didn't read mining, but it was a department with mining and metallurgical engineering. So I opted for metallurgical engineering. I didn't want to...
You wanted the gold, eh?
Yeah. I didn't want my mother to die.
She wanted the gold.
So I went to metallurgical engineering. I'd rather process it.
Than to be mining it.
Yeah. So I opted for metallurgical engineering.
How interesting. What about you? Did your mother influence that?
Because my mom, is a teacher, or was a teacher. Now she's old, she doesn't teach anymore. But the way she brought us up, all her children, was from the time you're able to hold a pencil at the age of 2, she starts teaching you how to write. And teaches you, arithmetic from 1 to 3, teaches you how to read. She used, we are Yorubas, she uses the Yoruba alphabet to teach you how to read, saying that the Yoruba alphabet is pronounced the way you write it. But
Okay.
the English alphabet is different.
Yeah.
They will say
The English are purposefully difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
PH is called F. F is called F. A child will get confused. That's so she wants something. She will first teach you to the Yoruba alphabet so that she can learn how to read. Then, so now I can pronounce anything I say. I can actually, because I can.
Can you say Obuago?
I say anything I see.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't see me.
If I read it.
Because my name is usually a tough one.
And when I hear people say, I'll say, can you please spell it? Because then I'll be able to now pronounce
it.
So that was how we grew up, learning from childhood. But that had a lot of influence on us, all the children. We, of course, my father was an agri-economist. He's dead now. An Oxford trained agri-economist, and he also liked education. And he used to say that he would have been an engineer. When my brother and I studied engineering, the third person wanted to study. My mother said, "No, I want a doctor."
These doctors are in high demand.
They're in high demand. So my mother refused that, but she wasn't going to, because she didn't like, even though she scored an A in biology, she didn't like it. So she wanted to be an engineer too. So she just opted for something else. But they had a great role to play in bringing us up into the people that all of us are today. Learned people, going for very high marks.
That's amazing. That's very interesting. We'll take a break. When we come back in the next segment, we'll get the ladies to tell us, now they did manage to become engineers, what has been their journey within the field of engineering. Stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back. What an amazing journey. What an amazing story. Two remarkable ladies, and yet we haven't even started. They still have so much to tell. When we took a break, they had told us what made them decide to become engineers. How did it come about? Now, I think it's time to ask you, so what was the training like? And what were the early years of practicing your profession like? I will start with you this time. We won't let Valerie take.
Okay, I schooled at the University of Ife. It was Ife when I entered. By the time I finished, I changed to Obafemi
Awolowo University. Okay.
And I liked my time at Ife. I liked the campus because it's beautiful, and the work was, I didn't find it too rigorous, I must confess. There were a few subjects that were a little difficult for me, but I was...
That is the same for every student. Yeah.
But it was something I signed in for, and like I said, engineering is basically mathematics. And because I love mathematics, virtually all the subjects we did had to do with mathematics. Whether you are doing electrical engineering, mechanical department and all that, all of them had a way you needed to solve some problems. So it wasn't really...
So you're a problem solver.
Yeah.
Can I bring my own life problems for you?
That's not engineering.
Yeah, not engineering, eh? Okay. And now I'm disappointed.
So going through school was not too difficult, I must confess. And I had a good time at CPE. And then I graduated and did my youth service. I started my engineering career from my youth service. I had to start with Benue Cement Company. We were producing cement. And I was in quality control. That's the one that is now Dangote Cement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So you were there in the early days, so to say.
Early days, yes.
Yes.
In the early days. And so I was in quality control, checking the time that the cement was set and determining whether it was good enough and all that. Then after that, I worked with Ajakuta Steel Company. Okay. Then the same level Ajakuta was 98% complete in 1991 when I started. That is the state it is now, 98% complete. We never produced any steel, even as a steel company. but I was in the power producing plant. Initially, I was moved to a carbon dioxide production plant for the foundry, but because it was not working, I was taken to, because we were generating our own electricity in Niger State company, and we took water from River Niger to run the power plants, the turbines. So that was where I was, and it was nice. It was good engineering experience. Yeah.
And you didn't find that your gender mattered?
No, funny. I think maybe I'm just not a very observant person. Let me put it that way, because this thing is always coming up. Whether people, I'm the only female there. It doesn't make a difference. But we had another female who wasn't in my plant. Was also an engineer, but I didn't think I was out of place.
Okay.
And I didn't. If anybody treated me out of place, I didn't feel it. So I left by applying for a master's degree in University of Lagos, so that I could go out of the steel city, which was an enclosed environment. So after my master's, I didn't go back there. I actually, went into IT for a while. I was doing computers. Computers just becoming popular then. Then Windows 95 just came. And, so I had a training school. I did a little bit of that. So before I left, I worked in computers for like up to 4-5 years or so.
I'm looking at Valerie, and I think she wants to talk about her own. She's saying to herself, Funmilola is going on and on. Funmilola is going on and on. So
I now went to printing and minting, where I am practicing now.
Printing and minting. Okay, that's very interesting.
So where we make money. I make money for a living. I like to say that.
Does any of it go into your account?
Unfortunately, except what I work for, that it's like a teller in the bank. So much money in your front, 1 penny must not miss out of that.
And if it misses, then you don't close work.
You are not closing work. You got it. You're not closing.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. That's very interesting. We'll turn over to Valerie, but the meat of the matter is still coming, because we're still going to get you to talk to us about the association. But tell us about the career path in engineering.
Yeah, through university, it was easy in the sense that I had a lot of assistance from my schoolmates. Like I said, when I got in, I wasn't sure I was going to continue with engineering. But with my course advisor and the head of the department talking to me, and he had a chat with me, because they looked at my white result, and like I said, physics, I had A1 in physics, so everybody think it must be hard. Mathematics, I didn't have any. I had a C4. No, I had a C4 in mathematics, but physics, I had A1, and in biology, I had a 6. So you want to go back to biochemistry, but your stronger subjects are physics and mathematics. So why do you want to? And I kept explaining, because this is what doctors do. They save lives. They help people to have a better living.
But we do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But when they exposed me to engineering, engineering is just like you said, it's about problem solving, but not the physical. Oh, I'm a human being, I don't have money, I can't solve that problem for you, but I can teach you how to.
If you do minting, like she does,
you to solve that problem. But when they told me engineering is all about this, you look at everything you do, the house you are living in engineering, the road you are driving on is engineering, the water, everything. In fairness, my lecturers exposed me to engineering.
Okay.
And I saw it like,
that's amazing. That's good, because that's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I guess it's because they didn't want to lose me. So, and I'd done A levels, so I wasn't having issues with my prelim, because while I was waiting to go into medicine, I did A levels, and so I'd done that red pink paper exam, which a lot of people run from. So prelim was not a tough time for me. It was like, just walk through. So I guess they didn't want to.
I don't know whether they still do prelim in the universities. Do they? In our time, they do. Oh yes, in our time.
So they don't just call it prelim. The NMC, I'm in my first year.
Okay, yes, because we used to do a prelim. Yes.
Exactly. So it was easy for me.
Yeah.
And then they convinced me, and later I looked at it that engineering was more like making life a better place for people. So I decided to remain in engineering. I had difficulties, just like you said, in some subjects, engineering, drawing. It was tough for me. So even when I couldn't complete my assignment, I had one of my very good friends. He was reading agric engineering then. He stays with me in the drawing room to make sure that I finish my assignment. So my colleagues were quite good. My schoolmates were good. They helped me.
They adopted you, you know.
Yes, they adopted me as their little sister. Some of them will say I'm their little sister because a few were older than me. But then it was good. I enjoyed it. Even when I had a problem with one of my lecturers who sang a song for me, I never heard the song. He said, "You use what you have to get what you want."
Wow.
By
It started even as far back as that.
It did. It wasn't that bad, but it was there. And look, you use what you have to get what you want. And I came back crying to my schoolmates, and they're like, "Don't worry, it cannot happen." Because we're about to go in for our internship. And so if I failed that course, that meant automatic 1 year. Because I couldn't take it in my second semester. So I had to come back and take that course. So automatically I was going to have an extra year. And they told me not to worry, watch out. We know that you won't fail it. So, but they advised me on what to do. Never to go to that part of the school building.
Cut it off, eh?
Lecturer, cut it off, you know. Everywhere I'm going to, if you want to go out, call me. One of my male colleagues must be with me. And
how
the result
nice.
came out. And then the result finally came out. I saw a D. Valerie result is out. We ran to the boards to check, and I saw a D. I can go for internship. And that was